Do you want more? More time, more balance, more love, more sex, more money, more real, and less bullshit? This is the Women Wanting More podcast with Dr. Karen Osborne. Real life, real stories, plus real tips to get you more of what you want.
The fog will eventually lift. I am reminded of this today as I woke up today to a super foggy day. I was up early this morning, as I usually am, but a little bit earlier. Haven't been kind of up into as early as the 4s for a little while, but was up, couldn't sleep. I was like, well, I get up at 4:30, meditated out the door by just before 5 to go walk my dogs, and like the thickest fog. Like you could see maybe, I don't know, 20, 30 feet in front of you, like so thick. And so as I'm like getting my dog's leashes out, and I kind of like just look out my front door, like the door's closed, but there's a window on the door, and I'm kind of looking out, and we have a lot of deer here in Victoria, so I see this like big buck. You don't see a lot of the male deers. That's a male deer, by the way, because they have the antlers. That's how you know. I'll talk to the boys like, how do you know it's a daddy deer? They got antlers, so those are the bucks. Good sized buck, just walking down the sidewalk like he's coming out of the fog. It was so freaky. Saw a raccoon in the park, like just like freaky, like eerie. I was saying to the boys, I'm like, it's like we're in like a Halloween slasher movie or something. But what happened? So we live here on Vancouver Island. Victoria is on Vancouver Island, which by the way is not Vancouver. Vancouver is mainland. I don't know why they decided to call Vancouver Island. We're close, we're across the ocean from Vancouver, but it's not Vancouver. But anyways, I digress there. We live on an island, so we're surrounded by water. We are close to water where we live. We can see the ocean right out our front window, just kind of through the park. And the ocean's right there. But yet, where I'm at the boys' school, which is about a 12-minute drive from the house, away from the water, we're nowhere close, but it's still just the whole city's just thick with fog. And so we have to get that, and it's kind of cool. Like I like it. It's kind of cozy. But what'll happen is that the fog lifts, and so the sun eventually kind of like comes through, or it starts to warm up. I don't know the whole how it works, how fog lifts, but the way that my simple mind sees it is the sun comes out, and the fog kind of it starts to lift. You can even see now that, as I'm driving back from the boys' school and I'm heading to train with my boxing coach Rob, that is starting to lift, not much, a little bit, in spots, right? But probably by 2-3 hours, there'll be no fog. So the fog kind of rolls all in, and then it rolls on out. And it made me think of, as I'm walking back to the car, I'm like, how many times do we often feel like we're in this fog? And so we've had something significant happen, something traumatic. It could be as significant as a divorce, or going through divorce, or a death, or some other kind of a loss, losing a pet, going through some challenges with kids, with marriage, with business. And we feel like we're just kind of drifting through this fog, that we're just thick in it. And I get it. I've been there many times in my life, if not even recently. And it kind of feels like, God, am I going to get out of this fog? Like you just don't feel like yourself. You don't feel like you think the same way. Your emotions may feel like they're all over the place. You just feel like you're in a fog. You feel like you're in a fog. And it lifts, sister. This is the really simple message I want you to hear today. This too shall pass. The fog will eventually lift. And it's like having enough trust to recognize that this is not forever. This moment that you're going through, this challenge that you're going through, this trauma that you're going through, it's not forever. It will eventually lift. And the second piece I want you to really understand is the fog is going to lift when the fog lifts. In other words, I can't right now say like, oh, the fog should just like in 10 minutes. Like, I don't want to have to deal with this. It's hard to drive through. We got to go slow. Like, rah, 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 The fog's going to lift when the fog lifts. It's not up to me. And as much as that might sound kind of crazy when it comes to your own life, you're like, well, wait a second. There's things that I can do. Sure, if you're in a fog emotionally, right? If you're in kind of a bit of a funk, you might be like me and say, hey, you know what? Well, actually, this is all human beings. We know when we move our bodies, it actually shifts our mood. It changes that state. And so you might say, well, I can do that. I can go and work out and then I feel better. I got it. But, for a lot of people, that's a beautiful thing. But I'm going to tell you right now, because I used to use it this way, I used exercise as a form of numbing. Like, sure, I felt better. Of course, it's a healthy choice. It's not like I'm, taking drugs, right? Or drinking myself into oblivion to not feel. But it was a way to, it was crazy, right? A way to not feel, like to feel the pain made me feel alive of like really pushing myself. And yes, I would come out of that state and feel much better. But if there was something really significant happening in my life, it didn't fix it. It didn't make it go away. It was simply still time that was needed for that fog to lift. And yes, I could work out. And yes, I could try to get more sleep and meditate and connect with friends and therapists and, do the things you need to. Maybe you're in a fog in your business, meaning that you're in a lull or it's on like a downswing. You're like, you gotta get back up, right? By all means, do the things and take action you need to begin moving through that. But understand that, like, you have control, but you don't have control. What a fucked up paradox, right? You're like, wow, what do you mean? Which one is it, right? Control, no control. It's kind of both. And here's what I mean by that. So let's take the example of, let's say if there's a lull in business or work, or maybe you work for someone, you feel stuck where you are. There's steps you can begin to take that will not, like, you snap your fingers and instantly things change in that moment or tomorrow or in a week. But you begin the process, right? Someone else might take a look at a weight loss that they have, 40 pounds, or a marriage that's just like not good, right? And you can't do something right away. You can't go, I'm just going to skip that cake tonight. I'm going to go to the gym tonight. No, it will be a series of tonights. It will be a series of choices for the rest of your life. Recovering a marriage is going to take a lot to repair, a lot of conversations, a lot of tough conversations, a lot of being vulnerable and telling the truth about things, a lot of getting clear on what you want, a lot of date nights, a lot of daily text messages, a lot of times of physically, intimately connecting. Like, it will take time for that marriage to heal and repair, or perhaps even get to places that you never even experienced before, like to make it better than ever, but it's going to take time. And just like with this fog lifting in front of me right now as I'm driving to meet my boxing coach, right? It'll start to lift a little bit. And you'll start to be able to see, and you can take that other step. And I can drive a little bit further into the fog without having to go so slow, because the fog will eventually lift. And so here's your more tip for today then, sister. Where are you stuck in a fog right now in your life? Like, you're in a fog, you're in a funk. I want you to identify where that is, specifically what it is. Specifically, like maybe it is something with your health. Maybe it's with your marriage where like, we're just in roommate mode, I mean, I get that. I used to be that with my husband years ago. We were just kind of like there. It wasn't good, it wasn't bad. It was just like, it's so funny. My youngest son, Kai, who's 5 now, and if he talks about something not turning out right, I don't know if he saw this on a show or something, whatever, he's like, you know what, Mommy, it's kind of like wah-wah. I'm like, where'd you get that from? It's hilarious. So your marriage is not good or not bad, it's just kind of like wah-wah, like it's, meh, like, you're in, what is that specific area of your life that you're in a fog right now? And the second piece is hell yeah, take action. Now, you got to have some trust with that, and you got to know it's going to take more than one attempt or one piece of action or one thing that you do or one conversation or like whatever it is, but you just simply need to begin and then to just start doing what you need to do. And then you got to combine that with trust, because here's what's going to happen. You're going to get going, you'll get some momentum, you'll gain some traction, then you'll get kicked back down, you're like, fuck. And then the fog will come in, thick. Maybe thicker than the last time. And will be up to you to get up and to continue to do the things that you need to that move you towards what you want. whatever that outcome or the result is that you're trying to get, without attaching. And this is where the trust piece comes in, right? What is one, so identify what that is where you're in that fog. What is one thing you can do in the next day to begin to move out of the fog? And then I want you to continue to do those actions, whatever else is necessary. Maybe that's that same thing, continuing. But then the third piece of this is you really need to trust and to surrender into whatever this process is. Trust it. Trust it. So hard, right? We want to control every little piece of that thing. Impossible. Impossible. And I want you to think of like a wet fish. This isn't a good analogy for me because I don't fish, but we all understand, right? Like if you're trying to grab a wet fish and you're holding onto it so hard, it's gonna like fly out, right? If you grasp onto that result you want so badly, this must happen. If it doesn't, it will mean this. Like just heavy with expectations. You will never get that thing. But if you simply have clarity on what that thing is, you begin to take the action and then you let go. And then you trust and surrender. Remember what it was like when you first started driving, right? You're like, oh my God, you're like checking all the different scenarios. You're like, I can't even have the radio, like have music on. I'm just like, you're so like looking out for all these things. Well now, is the car in front of me gonna, oh my God, they're coming so close. Are they gonna hit me? Am I gonna get too close to the car in front of me? I remember kind of beginning to drive and creating so much distance between me and other cars because I didn't have any grasp on like, are my brakes gonna go, like, or not that, not they're gonna go, like, not work, but am I gonna brake, like, how much stopping distance do I need, right? What do we do now when we drive? We trust. We don't, like, drive like, oh my God, this person, oh my God. Like, you're still acutely aware and stuff, but you literally get into a car each day and you trust, man. You get on a plane and you trust. You trust. So that is it for today, sister, as the fog is lifting more and more, as I'm almost here at boxing. So finishing up, one thing I want you to do, make sure to join the Women Wanting More newsletter and tribe. This is the only way you're going to hear about my new free Facebook community. That'll be open for women and men, by the way, for your kings, for the men in your life, your husband, your boyfriend, your father, your brother. And I'll be announcing all the details through the newsletter. So you got to get on to get that. Plus, I'm going to send you some amazing video trainings on how to drop your stories, create new ones, and really remember who you are. And send you the More for Action Guide, which is really a way to learn how to start your day in a place of power, like I did today, and like I do every single day. So head over right now to drkarenosburn.com/action guide. So that's drkarenosburn.com/action guide. If you're listening on your phone, open up the notes. And you'll see it might be like a little more that you just click on that, open it up, and you can just, there'll be a clickable link right there in the notes as well too. So drkarenosburn.com/action guide, enter in your email, and we'll get you hooked up on all those free gifts today. Plus, you will hear about this new Facebook group. Plus, you're going to hear about my book coming out later this year in 2018. So I will talk to the next episode, sister. A Life of More is about really trusting and surrendering that the fog will eventually lift. Every single day. I love and appreciate you.
To get the show notes of each Women Wanting More episode, including the How to Get More tip, subscribe to the newsletter at drkarenosburn.com/newsletter.